All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started.
All
Okay,
right.
so I am very excited to to introduce you, Hillary. So we were just discussing now. Hillary is really, really an interesting person to watch because she has been doing something that is very much like not fitting herself into a box. So she's such a perfect example of someone who has kind of wasn't fitting into a box, and I think. Well, I'll let you speak more about this, but I feel like she was kind of
Okay.
this really amazing, great person, but feeling sort of stuck and having all these kinds of things come up because you weren't able to fit yourself into just one box. And then what we've, now you're in this three-pronged career, as you called it, where you've
Uh-huh.
created your own career on your terms. And it's such a great example of what you can do when you choose not to fit yourself into a box and just really figure out what you want and then actually
Mhm.
make it happen, right? So
Right.
Hillary, why don't you introduce yourself? Where are you right now? And again, we can't define you, I think, with one specific job title, but if you could just
Hmm.
explain a little bit about, what sort of what are your three job titles, and
Okay.
then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I'm living on the East Coast of the United States right now. I have two girls, ages 9 and 5. And I have been a consultant with the UN, with UN Habitat mostly, for about 6 years now. And I was doing what I wanted to do. I had made this career change in my mid 20s. I was stuck back then, or I was feeling stuck in a career that I was not really passionate about, and I wanted to make a career change, and I went for it. So I made that big step back then. And I got my master's and I started working in the intersection between urban policy and planning and climate change. And well, I was getting consultancies from UN Habitat here and there. I was relying mostly on my inner circle of colleagues. And I had some great accomplishments under my belt, but I just felt like things were just not moving forward as fast as I wanted them to. And there were significant gaps in between my consultancies, and I just felt like there were not a lot of opportunities. And I felt like I was doing what I could. I was doing great at the job itself. I was really focusing on the job itself. I got great performance reviews, and people that I knew closely would send opportunities to me. And I thought that I was looking out for other opportunities, but I just felt like there were none. And I was like, well, I felt powerless and stuck, and like I was not moving forward. And the other thing was that I had a lot of different interests that I felt like I was not able to express in my career. I had an interest in mentoring, um, mentoring junior employees, for example. I like to work closely one on one with people. And these substantive consultancies, as we would call them, would focus mostly on policy work or very theoretical work. And so I wasn't able to express myself in that aspect. And also, I had an interest in art and design. And I was, kind of able to bring that out by focusing on more of the urban design aspects of the job. But still, I felt like there was something in me that, that wanted some more color and creativity in my life. And so that was also something that I couldn't express on a daily basis through my consultancy work. And the other thing, and this was a major, major factor, was that there was a lack of financial stability. I couldn't, continuously earn an income to support myself through doing these consultancies. And that was a huge factor that made me really confused and wondering if I should go in a different path after all of this investment into my career. So yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
financial factor was really huge. And but on the other hand, there was a part of the lifestyle that these consultancies provided. Have being able to do some of these consultancies home based, and being able to work around my kids' schedules, um, on my own time. And they're like 3 months to 8 months. They're not for such a long period of time, so I don't feel like really trapped into one job or anything. So that was working out really well for me, although I didn't realize it at the time. When I first started the program, I thought that I should get a longer term, more
Mm-hmm.
stable consultancy, and I thought that that was what I was aiming for. But through the process, I realized that the consultancy, lifestyle was actually what I did want, and it was working out for me. I just had to find a way to,
to
express
make
my
it
other
work for you,
interests.
right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also to provide myself some
Mhm.
financial stability in between consultancies.
Okay. So I
Yeah,
think this is so interesting because you see how it's not so black and white. It's not like either you hate your job and everything's terrible about it, and then you need
right.
to find something new, or things are amazing and you have this perfect dream job. It gets more complicated, and I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. Like, there were good points about your job, and you've
Yes.
done this big career change. Like you said, you invested a ton
Mhm.
of time, a ton of money into this degree,
Yes.
and you're passionate about urban
Yeah, urban
urban
development and climate
spaces and
change. Yeah.
urban
Hmm.
development and climate change, and that is something that's important to you, and there's a lot
Hmm.
of that suits you. But then you have these
Right.
other interests, and it's like, well, what's happening with those things? And then there's this issue of, well, you're not making enough money, and there's too much of this
Right.
running after jobs, and that's stressful
Yes.
because jobs in
Uh-huh.
that sector are few and far between. And on the other hand, even if they were to offer you a stable job, then you'd feel stuck and you wouldn't have your other interests going for you. So there's just all
Exactly.
of these. So I think when you came to me, that was the issue. Like, there were just all these confusing factors.
Yes.
And then there was also the issue of, I think, learning how to position yourself and brand yourself so you could also get positions more easily. Because at that time you
Right.
were not employed, and it was like a struggle to. You knew
Hmm.
eventually you're going to land a position, obviously, but it's like, how long is that going to take,
Yes.
and why isn't it happening faster? Like, you weren't in the arena where you should be. You were kind of like in that fighting mode.
Right. And one of my major problems was that, well, when I first started the program, I had actually come across one of your emails, your email newsletters, which was talking about networking and the hidden job market, and that's when it really struck me that I thought that I was doing everything that I could, but am I really networking as I should be? And the answer was no. I wasn't doing what I should have been doing in terms of networking, and I didn't know how to go about it either. And one of the main issues was that, while I was kind of struggling with imposter syndrome, I had a lot of great accomplishments under my belt, but I wasn't acknowledging them myself. I wasn't publicizing them to the outside world, and therefore I was just kind of hiding myself away. And the other issue was that, well, I thought of networking as something that was kind of sleazy, like you go out and sell yourself. But through the process, I learned that networking is actually more about becoming a part of a professional community where people help each other out, and it's actually a really nice thing. And so it completely shifted my perspective with regards to networking. And yeah, that has really helped to not rely only on my inner circle for jobs, but also to really put myself out there and get myself seen by other colleagues
Mhm.
within UN Habitat and other UN organizations. And I've been getting contact requests through LinkedIn from, for example, yesterday I got one from the head of UNDRR in Bonn, which I thought was great. And then
Oh,
afterwards
wow.
he posted a consultancy that I might be well suited for, which was short term and home based as well. So I'm thinking of applying
Fantastic.
to that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I also had an opportunity sent to me recently by UN Habitat in Laos, which I hadn't worked with before. So I think that's really working out well for me. And it,
Yeah, you have some
yeah,
nice seeds that have been planted. And I think what's happened is
exactly.
that
Uh-huh.
before, because I remember you had some good contacts. You've worked with the UN,
Hmm.
you have the people you've worked with, of course, they're great
Uh-oh.
contacts.
Hmm.
So they didn't have so many job offers, and you were feeling, oh, are we losing each other?
Yeah,
Can you hear me? Okay,
I
good.
do. I can.
Okay, good, great. Yeah, I think it was like you had some good contact, and I see this happen a lot where someone will
Mhm.
have, it's not like you know nobody. No, you have
Right.
your contacts, but sometimes you need to expand that. It's not enough. Like, if your
Hmm.
contacts, the same thing happened with, I don't know if you saw Mary Saul's interview that we did, but she also had
Uh-huh.
some great contacts. But over the years, she kept networking with them, and she
Uh-huh.
never turned into a job. So at a certain
Mm.
point, she had to expand that and get new opportunities. It doesn't mean the old
Uh-huh.
contacts aren't good contacts, but you can't be relying on those people.
Right.
So it's great that now you've learned how to go out there, and then that's where
Hmm.
sometimes in a sector like yours, it can seem like, oh, it's so limited. There aren't that many jobs. It's so competitive. But actually, it's just that you haven't, you're not enough people in the sector actually know you, because there are more jobs than it appears on the surface, especially if you're not in the hidden job market and you're just depending on the online job applications. It looks like there's barely anything out there, let alone anything that you stand a chance of getting.
Yeah, so that's a disadvantage of kind of hiding out and not getting yourself out there, not getting yourself seen. And the great thing about social media is that whatever you post will reach a large audience. So you get seen by many more people than you can, just working within your own inner network in your organization. So yeah, that was really great.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So I think you said you found me by an email or something. You were on my email list.
I was on your email list from a couple of years ago. I signed up through Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. It's been a while. Okay. So finally, you've been on my email list for a few years. What made it that now you decided you needed to jump on a career roadmap session and get some help? Like what made you realize, okay, this can't go on? Like because you could have just stayed doing what you were doing, right? And fighting for the consultancies, eventually getting something. I think, you don't have much money of your own, but you were able to have your previous partner support you meanwhile. So why not just stay kind of in that situation?
Right. Well, I had really been putting all my eggs in one basket. I had this job in mind with UNEP that I was aiming for. And well, that position happened to be open back in March, and I had applied for it. And all the steps that I had taken so far were geared towards that position, that one position. And I thought that, okay, well, in this position, I would need to be a better networker. I'd have to, really coordinate government agencies in 4 different project countries. I would need to really, coordinate partners within the UN as well. And therefore, I would really need these networking skills. And that was one of the reasons why I reached out to you, to develop these kind of skills that I felt that I was lacking. So I did. So I applied for it, and I actually did not get the job. But I realized that this strategy of putting all my eggs in one basket was actually not the way to go. I should really be reaching a broader audience, developing networks with more people. It can be, very limiting if you just focus on one opportunity for so many years. I thought that I was being strategic, but actually, I think that that's not really the way to go. It's better to, be broader and more fluid and lucrative. Even in my main career, but also, with the other freelance work that I'm doing, which I think we'll talk about.
We're gonna get to that because that's really interesting. Okay, so just before we get to that, I'm also curious, were you skeptical at all? I mean, because you were doing, it was like, how to network, you have a good CV, were you skeptical about actually getting, like, signing up for the program and getting actual paid help? Were you a bit like, do I really need this? Is it going to make a difference? Or what was going through your mind then?
Absolutely. Well, I thought that I was doing a lot of the right things, but on the other hand, I thought that, well, networking is definitely one of my weaknesses, and social media marketing is definitely one of my weaknesses, and that's something that I surely want to improve on. However, when I reached out, there was a little bit of skepticism, to be honest. I didn't know exactly what the program would be going through, if it would benefit me. But I'm really glad that I did sign up and I went through this process, because not only did it help me to develop those skills, but also it helped me to really analyze in a structured manner the various aspects of the job that I like and I dislike, and what was lacking, and how I can fill those gaps through the hypothesis worksheet exercise that we did.
Yeah, I feel like that's a
Yeah.
gap that you didn't know was there. Like you probably signed
Yeah,
up
it was,
because you
yeah.
thought you recognized, okay, networking is definitely a gap for me. But I
Uh-huh.
think probably you were still sort of thinking you had to fit yourself into a certain type of career box.
Yes,
So you
yes,
could like
absolutely.
justify doing the program for the networking part, but then it sounds
Uh-huh.
like when you got started, you realized,
Uh-huh.
oh, there's also some lack of clarity in terms of what do I actually want to do? And then you ended up discovering
Absolutely.
creating a whole different career path than you were even aiming for originally because you
Right.
realized, wait, I
Uh-huh.
don't need to fit myself into any kind
Into
of
a box.
a
Yeah.
box. Yeah.
Yeah, like we talked about in our, in our last interview. Um, the career ladder, like we feel like we have to climb up this career ladder and get into a P position and be stuck in this career till retirement.
Yeah. And
But
there's so many other
yeah,
options.
there are options, especially in today's day and age where we have the internet and we have
Mm-hmm.
access to like very a lot of information in different job markets. There are a lot of options, and you don't really have to go into a lifestyle that you pretty much know you're going to be miserable in, but you feel like
But
you
you
have to
feel like
climb
you
this
just have to
ladder.
do it. Yeah, no,
Right.
but I mean, it sounds
Yeah.
crazy, but you're right. This thing of, oh, well, I know it's going to make me miserable, but that's life. I'd better.
Yeah.
And then, like you're saying, putting all your eggs into one basket and the struggle and the fighting for
Uh-huh.
the jobs and fighting for the promotions and so much
Yes.
struggle and fighting for something that you don't even actually really want.
Yeah. I feel like if I did get that job, it would have been pretty miserable because the
Mm-hmm.
project is chaos. And, I knew what I was getting myself
Yeah.
into, but I was going to do it anyway. But luckily, I found different options that might work better for me. So,
Because you had no other option. That's
right
yeah,
at the time.
that was
Yeah.
the only option you could see. So
Hmm.
we're getting into the good part. What are you doing now with this three-pronged approach? Because I think you
Uh-huh.
started going through the process, you went through the goal mapping, you realized actually, I have all these other different interests. How on earth can I bring them together? And I remember in the beginning it
Yeah.
felt like, okay, I'm interested in all these different things, but how on earth
Hmm.
would those completely different things fit together? And
Yeah.
now I really love how actually you found a really good way of bringing them together. So tell us what it is that you are doing now. What does
Okay.
your career on your terms, how has that shaped up for you?
Okay. So I mentioned briefly before that the things that were working out for me with the UN consultancies was that I was able to, well, I had kind of the freedom and flexibility to work on my own time around the kids' schedules from anywhere in the world. So yeah, so I had that freedom and flexibility to work from wherever I wanted around my kids' schedules, and I was doing work that was meaningful, that I was passionate in with regards to the global dimension and being able to work on urban environment issues. And it had an analytical and a project management dimension to it. So those were the things that I did like about it. And so I decided to continue with these like shorter term UN consultancies that I could do from home, maybe with short missions where necessary. But on the other hand, I also had the interest in mentoring, and I decided, and also because I needed that financial stability in the event where there were gaps in between consultancies, I started doing academic editing. And I did this by signing up on a platform called Upwork. And so, for example, the first client that I got through Upwork was someone who wanted help with her CV and cover letter because she was looking to get into international development, namely community based heritage preservation, which is kind of similar to the work that I do. I've been working on the same type of stuff. So I was really able to take the things that I learned from you through this process as well on CVs and cover letters and help her out with that. And we developed a few different versions of her cover letter. And she was
Yeah.
really happy with the work that I did. And she wanted me to help her with preparing her thesis for publication. And so I realized that editing, I thought it was, just editing, that was something that was very easy for me that I could do without much thought. But I found that it really has a coaching dimension to it, and I really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I had several opportunities through Upwork already. I had to decline a few of them because I was going through interview processes with the UN. But I found that it's pretty lucrative. And if I take the time to tailor my cover letters for each application, I get maybe like a 20% success rate on these bids. So it's
So
something
this
that I
is
can
amazing. I
do.
just want to highlight this because the fact that,
Yeah.
when you started the program, you'd never, of course, you had this idea, like a lot of people have, oh, I'd love to do
Uh-huh.
my own kind of freelancing, not have to rely
Uh-huh.
on a job for income, right? But then the fact that during the program, you already got your first real clients paying you money.
Yes.
And I remember you were kind of excited because you got paid so much
Mhm.
faster than you do in a job, right? And then
Yes.
and so many clients that you actually had to turn some of them down. They had to wait for you to be ready for them later. I mean, that's amazing.
Right. Right, right. I was actually able to pay for, a little vacation for myself and my kids to Washington, D.C. out of the money that I earned through my first freelance clients. And I thought that was pretty cool because,
That's a celebrate. Yeah, that's a nice way to
yeah.
celebrate your first kind of, yeah,
Uh-huh. So,
really nice. Okay, interesting. Like on the goal, when you did your goals with these like little ideas that are kind of not they don't seem practical, they don't seem
mhm.
realistic, but mentoring was something that was on there, and also
Uh-huh.
the writing, editing, etc., and then obviously the
Yeah.
UN work. So it's amazing how all of these ideas came together, obviously, when you and then with the actual
Mhm.
concrete branding skills
Mhm.
that you learned, you're able to actually get paid for these things, and they're
Right.
not just these kind of foggy idea. How did it feel to actually be able to go out there and just start earning money?
Um, it was very, let's say, empowering because I felt if I was just focusing on my UN career, there were a lot of frustrations of not being able to move forward as fast as I can. But with the freelance work, it's just like you put in these bids and it's very lucrative. Clients come to you, you get paid for it immediately. And it was just moving forward a lot faster. And it gave me that momentum that I needed, even to push forward with the networking for my UN career. So I just felt a lot more powerful to actually have
More in
opportunities,
control.
more control. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And
And so,
mhm.
oh no, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Okay, sorry. No, it's really interesting that now, yeah, it seems like you've sort of gotten out of, not that you were in desperation mode before,
Mhm.
but it's just that mode of waiting, and
Yes.
um you're the one at the mercy of the job market kind of thing,
Right.
instead of you getting on with your life and having money, going to Washington, doing the work you want
Yeah.
to do, and just like living life the way that you want to live it, as opposed to waiting around hoping that somehow things will fall into place and you'll get a job you like, which of course is also kind of
Uh-huh.
rarely the case, right?
Yeah, I think I've lived a lot of my life that way. I just put all my eggs
Mm-hmm.
in one basket, and then I think that if I don't focus on this one opportunity, um, things are not going to go the way I want them to because I'm not
Mm-hmm.
putting enough intention into it. And
Yeah.
sometimes it works out that way. Like for my university application, I just applied to one university and I put all my effort into that and I got in. So sometimes that
Mm-hmm.
works out, but sometimes it doesn't. There have been many instances where I put all my eggs in one basket and it didn't work out. So I just don't think that's the way to go anymore. I think that doing the freelance.
Hillary, that is a whole interesting discussion. Like that's a whole, it's really interesting because there is something to
Uh-huh.
be said for having that one focus. And I do talk to a lot of people who have too
Mm-hmm.
many things they're going for. They're trying to do everything.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really clear about what they want. And yeah, they end up
Mm-hmm.
getting nowhere because they don't know what is that one focus that they're able to put their
Mm,
energy into. But I
yeah.
think one of the major differences here is that the thing you were focusing on wasn't
Uh-huh.
fully the dream. It was like there were good things about it, but
Mm,
then there were also
mm-hmm.
drawbacks. And so there were other
Yes.
things you wanted to do. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, there's a fine balance, I think, between finding that one focus, but then also giving
Uh-huh.
yourself permission to create things that might be a combination. Like we were
Mm-hmm.
saying, you might not be doing all of these things for the rest of your life. There's also different
Mm-hmm.
phases of life. And sometimes you do
Right.
something for a certain time period and
Uh-huh.
it's amazing for a couple of years, but then it's time to move on and do something different as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's quite interesting about the focus and when to have one singular focus and
Uh-huh.
when to branch out and say, hey, yes, that job I wanted was amazing, but there might be another
Uh-huh.
amazing job out there that I just don't know how to get it because I'm not acquainted with those people, or I just don't even know about
Uh-huh.
some don't know what you don't know. And so you're on things, what you do, even if you think it is, sometimes because other things out there know about them.
Right.
I think that's
Sorry,
the difference.
we were kind of
Sometimes the thing you
disconnecting a
think
little
is your
bit.
dream, it's only your dream because it's what you can see. Yeah.
Yeah. So
But I think
there
you got
was
it. It's just like
actually, there was a lot of confusion. I
see,
was pretty sure
not on
that
what
I
you can't
wanted
see.
that. Sorry. Oh, sorry. The connection went a little bit there. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, I did think that that was what I wanted, but there was a lot of confusion around it as well. Like, is this the lifestyle that I want to live? Is this what I want to do for the rest of my life?
I want to know what is next for you and what are you most excited about now?
Okay, so I talked about two of the prongs. I talked about the UN consultancies, and I
So you're
talked
such an
about the
organized
freelance
person.
editing.
I like the prongs.
2 out of 3. Okay, let's move on to the third one. So I mentioned that I had an interest in bringing some color and creativity into my life. And, this is just kind of it's bringing something new and fresh, because I have a lot of interests and I like to keep things fresh. I kind of get bored after doing things for, a long period of time. And I've been doing the UN consultancies for 6 years now. It's not that I'm not passionate about it. It's not that I don't want to continue. I do. But I do want something new in my life as well. So I decided to just kind of as a hobby do this jewelry design certificate. And the final project is to open your own Etsy shop and also to do a trade show display. And I thought that this was great because it really forces you into action. You have to open your own business, and they teach you a lot of the marketing skills as well. And I thought that it would, even in my main career, it would be great to have these kind of these online marketing skills. So I decided to do that. So those are my 3 prongs. So I have the UN consultancies, I have the freelance editing, and then I have the jewelry design course, which I can do at my own pace. It's all online, and you have a year and a half to complete it. So it's not like I'm going to be focusing a lot on that, but just in my free time, like on the weekends or whatever, to do something a little bit different. I like to have a lot of variety in my life. And so like I was saying, the UN consultancies would be what we would call the delivery of substantive output. So it would be a lot of policy work. It would be a lot of analytical, theoretical work, which I like, which I very much enjoy and I'm very good at. There's also a project management dimension to it, and like coordinating different project countries remotely. And I'm really good at that as well. So that fulfills that aspect. And then the freelance work will bring me the income in between, and it'll also bring in that coaching dimension. And then I have the jewelry design certificate to, bring that fresh new aspect into my life and bring some color and creativity in as well. And all of the 3 options, they allow me that lifestyle that I was looking for, where I have the freedom and flexibility to do the work on my own terms, around my own schedule, and from anywhere in the world. So all 3 of them fit into that category, to that lifestyle, and provide me all the different aspects that I wanted in my life. And it's
amazing. And you're so on fire now. It's amazing. It probably sounds to people like that's a lot. Like, okay, why would she be doing that many different things? But it's amazing, like with that focus, how excited you are, because you started moving really fast once you actually were excited about your direction. Where you're at a certain point, you're like, but I don't know if I want to work, right? But now you're like, yes, I'm excited for all these things. So it's really a case of finding the thing you're actually excited about, and then you move so quickly and you get so much stuff done, and obviously earn a lot of money at it. So I think the energetic part.
Yeah, because I was just focusing on the UN consultancies, I was like, oh, but there are other things that I want to do. And, it's been 6 years already, and I'm kind of, I need something new as well. And it wasn't all too exciting. But when I thought of not doing it, that felt even worse. Like all that, the meaning.
So you still needed it.
Yeah, I really do need it. I am passionate about the work that I do. I do believe in it. And I really enjoy policy work. and the project management dimension as well. And without that in my life, something big is definitely missing. So it was actually good to go through that process of like trying to remove it from my life once and see how it feels. It's just not right. I have to have that.
Yeah.
But not having the other things doesn't feel right either. So, just focusing on one doesn't work for me. I like having a few different things to work on, I guess, that fulfill all the aspects that, yeah.
That's amazing. It's so great to see you being kind of more of the person that you're meant to be when you're not trying to box yourself in and you're not in that stuck mode and that, oh, I should do this, should do that mode. And you just become so much more of yourself and so much more energetic. And there's so many more, so many possibilities now in terms of where you can actually go from here.
So I think that we're really conditioned or educated to think that our life purpose is our career, that one career, And I think
where you climb the ladder until you're at the top kind of thing.
Yeah. I think Michelle Obama said in her book Becoming also that you tell your kids that your dream should be your future career, but that's not really the case. Like people have different aspects to themselves that need some balance, and it's just climbing up that career ladder doesn't necessarily have to be. I mean, for some people it works really well, I guess, but for a lot of people, there are different circumstances that they deal with in life, and you just kind of have to find a good balance for yourself and what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that balance is different for everyone. You can't compare one balance to someone else's balance. Like not everyone is going to resonate with creating their own jewelry line, right? But other people will go, wow, that's super exciting. And the freelance editing as well. Like that was something that for you really worked out because you do enjoy writing and you do enjoy working with people and all the rest of it. So it has to be very personalized, I think. And but you also need that process. So it's not this wishy-washy thing of, oh, I have all these interests and I'm just going to try to do everything and then end up doing nothing.
Right. Yeah.
So, okay. So looking back, like where you were before, if you were talking to someone in a similar place where there's sort of debate, they're maybe a little bit, facing some of the same issues you were, whether it's the financial instability, whether it's the trying to figure out if they should go for that stable staff job or if they should do something else and whatnot. What would you say to, I guess, yourself beforehand, maybe a couple of years ago when you were getting those emails, but you were like, oh, I don't think I need this yet. If you could go back, what would you say to yourself?
Well, you know what, life is kind of a process of trial and error and learning along the way. So where you are right now, I think this is important. I think that you kind of you have to aim for more, but you also kind of have to be happy with what you have right now. And back then I was doing these consultancies, but I was always aiming for that higher position. I was like, I can't be happy until I have this higher level position. Until I have that longer term, stable UN job. Okay. But the thing was, because of that, I wasn't enjoying the consultancies that I had on my plate. I was always looking towards what's next. But I think that what's really key is to enjoy, to really, like not just do your best at the job in front of you, but also to appreciate it, to really enjoy it. And I couldn't do that at the time because there were factors that were unfulfilled in my life, like the financial instability and the other interests that I had that were not being fulfilled. But if you can kind of like find a way to get creative and find a way to fill those gaps, then you're able to enjoy what you have on your plate right in front of you right now. And it's just,
I think it
helps you to live
giving yourself permission to,
it is giving.
And I also see people trying to force themselves to enjoy, like, oh, well, I should be lucky to have my job, so let me try to see the positives. But I think sometimes it's that striving for, oh, it's fine, it's a sacrifice, it'll look good on my CV, or it's good money, I'll be happy when, as opposed to actually finding a solution that works for you right now. So you can feel like, of course you do things, and where you are right now, where you're going, I'm sure like in a year's time when we check in, you're going to be like, so many things will have happened. But you still found a solution where you're like, oh, I'm actually in my sort of my dream life now.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the dream will
Right.
and evolve and you're going to be doing different things, but you've actually arrived. Like you have arrived at
Yes,
where
yes,
you want to be. You don't need to strive
exactly.
and sacrifice the now for something in the future. It's not a sacrifice. It's
Right.
like growth.
Yeah, exactly. Before it was kind of like this whole uphill struggle of trying to get somewhere, trying to get to that position. Now, I think that things will actually move forward. They'll kind of flow easier because I am, in the position that I want to be in. I'm in the now. So I've just kind of found a solution for myself. Grow forward naturally. It'll just kind of flow because I'm living in the now. I'm doing what I want to be doing. Actually, here's the thing. I'm not thinking about where I'm going anymore, per se. I'm thinking about what I'm doing, like what
Mm-hmm.
contribution I'm making to the international community, to global issues. I'm focusing more on the what than the where. And so I'm able to live in the now. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
consequently, that will make me seem more passionate about what I'm doing and will bring me more opportunities. And employers want people who are happy in their jobs rather than those who are struggling in an uphill battle,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yeah, I
Yeah.
think
You're like,
that's
fine, I'll do it because I have to.
uh-huh. Yeah, I think that's something I'll tell myself, my past self, if I had the chance, that you are actually living your dream. This is what you wanted to
Mhm.
do. Just enjoy it and find a way around the other problems that you're going through, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And hey, this is going to be such a great message to pass down to your daughters because I think so many of us learn this kind of struggling mentality from our parents as well. So,
Right, right.
is there
Yeah, our
anything that
parents.
you think is going to be a good impact on your daughters as well?
Um, for starters, I think that, well, in Japan and the United States, things are very different. In Japan, women are mostly supposed to grow up and get a good job, and then get married and retire and have kids and grow their kids. And then in the States, or in the Western world, there's a lot more of women's empowerment movement going on, and women are
Mm.
they try to be
But
very
also a
career
lot of
focused.
pressure, right?
A lot of pressure. Yeah, exactly. A lot of
Hmm.
pressure to balance that high level career with um, the family life. Like, you're supposed to have this perfect family life and be a great parent while having this high level career.
Hmm.
And it's very difficult for a lot of people, for a lot of women. And I think that a balance in between the two would be a really good way for a woman to be able to live, to have this kind of freelance lifestyle where you can work around your kids' schedules. Um, and I'm not going to tell my kids to go one way or the other. They have the freedom of choice. If they want to be a stay-at-home mom, they can. If they want to be a high-level career mom, they can as well. But my lifestyle is something in between. I want to be able to balance those aspects well. And I think that this lifestyle is going to enable me to do that. And it's just kind of designing your life around your circumstances. I had kids really young, and I hadn't thought of all these things when I had kids. And I think a lot of women also like postpone having kids because they think of all these things, and they feel like they can't do it all. But there is, I want to send out the message that there is a way to balance the things that you want to do and your family life. That there needs to be compromises, but it doesn't have to be like a complete sacrifice for one or the other
Yeah.
either.
I
Yeah, you
think there
don't
is
have
a
to be
difference
miserable.
between the word.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I feel like there is a difference between compromise and sacrifice. Like, of
Yeah,
course, you can't do
absolutely.
all the things all at the same
Uh-huh.
time, right?
Right.
You can't just ignore your kids all
No.
of a sudden, but you don't need to sacrifice one for the other either. You can find ways. Like, there's usually creative
Yes.
solutions to make this stuff
Mhm.
work.
Yes, and I see a lot of moms out there who struggle a lot because they sacrifice so much for their families, and they put
Hmm.
everything into their kids and raising them, and they just feel very stuck and dissatisfied in their
Yeah, like they don't
situation,
count.
like they don't count. Yeah, and I think
Yeah,
that's a
maybe
really
they
rough.
can do something for themselves. Yeah, if they come last kind of
Yeah,
thing, right?
Yeah, but I think that it took many years and a lot of thought, even going through this process with you was a part of it. And I did struggle a lot, to be honest. But I think that I found a way to do what I wanted to do, to work on in international development and urbanization and climate change through these consultancies, and also, have like these hobbies and the financial stability and everything, all while being able to drive my kids to and from school and to their lessons after school and all that. And, there's a lot of tasks, a lot of domestic chores that, yeah.
Absolutely. No, I think that's really, really great what you've done. Is there are there any last words of wisdom or anything else you wanna share?
I think that after going through this whole process, my most important learning is that you just, I think that it's a process to get here. I think that most people will be striving for more and more and more all of their lives. I get this job, but this is not enough. I need more. But you can aim for more while being happy where you are. And there's going to be a lot of complex factors. You have a family life, there's other people involved, other people's happiness involved. But you have your happiness too. You have to analyze yourself and think of the things that will fulfill you, and just really find a good solution for yourself and live in the here and now. And it took a lot of trial and error to get to this point, but yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's saying like happiness is possible. Like there is a happiness solution.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be so complicated, but you just need, but it's different for everyone. And I think that's where people get stuck. Yes. It's someone else's solution is not going to be your solution. So you do need to do the work. You need to get structured about it. But your happiness solution is out there. You don't need to sacrifice the now for because of course, what happens when you say one day is that you never get it, right? Yeah. You never arrive. Versus if you get started now and you say, okay, what is it actually that is going to make me happy? What do I need? Based on my life circumstances, you can actually make that happen now, because it's never going to happen in the future if you think you're sacrificing the now for something.
Absolutely. Someday. You have to take action. And also you have to take action to know if it's really for you or not, because you might start on something and decide that, this doesn't fit into the lifestyle that I want. And so the key is just to really just get going with it already and figure out what works for you along the way too. Yeah, it's the process of becoming. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm so happy you were able to hop on here and share all that, because I do think it is something that is still not really discussed that much, that you don't have to fit yourself into one career path. And when we talk about career coaching and we talk about career stuff, it's a bit like, oh, that's career, but I want to be happy. I want to do these other things, but it all kind of gets blended together. Like you were saying with doing something for your artistic side, and then the policy side is also integral to yourself, and all these things become part of you. So it's really, really important to figure out what those factors are and make sure that you're actually living it in your work, in your daily life.
You know what? The thing is that there's that buzzword authentic out there.
Oh my goodness.
And I would always think, they would say, just be who you are. And I would be like, well,
what does that mean?
Exactly. What does that mean? Like who I am, there's so many different aspects.
Who you are doesn't like networking. So that's a problem. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it takes analysis. It takes some, intellectual work to, in my case, I didn't just sit there and meditate and get an answer. Okay. It doesn't work that way. That's how it make it, a lot of the, the spirituality.
That's how they make it sound like it's going to be right. Yeah.
Yeah. But sitting there and meditating, well, that did nothing for me, to be honest. I really had to look at the different aspects of myself and find solutions, to be positive and solution oriented in the face of a lot of complex factors and challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about having the process. I mean, meditation, of course, is wonderful for many things.
Yes.
But most of the time when it comes to getting, like practically speaking, getting a new career, arranging all these bits and pieces. Yeah. You also need, you can have the meditation, but you also need the process to actually
Yes.
put that into place, brush up on the branding skills, the networking skills, like you were saying, the hypotheses,
Yes.
to understand the different types of the different lives you could be leading, and then decide which one you're going to go for. And yeah, all of that is a process for sure.
Yeah.
Process
Which
to
one or
happiness
which ones
and
you're going to
career
go for, right?
fulfillment.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm really excited for you because I know that you have many possibilities now, and you're already living them. You're already working on them, getting those clients in and getting those job offers in. So, and I really like the way that you're networking and the way that you've just completely expanded your contact base and where people are getting to know you in that authentic way, if we can use the word authentic, but it's not something that's weird for you anymore. So you've really stepped into that higher version of yourself that enjoys networking.
Yes.
Feel sleazy about it. It's going really well. So these are skills you're going to be able to use for the rest of your life in all kinds of different capacities. So the sky is the limit.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for hopping on, and we will be in touch. Can't wait to hear what is next for you. Make sure you keep me posted on all your next steps and all your next wins.
I will. Thank you so much, Dalia.
And I hope our viewers also learned something. If you guys are watching this and you have any questions for Hilary about the three-pronged career, or any questions about yourself, if you have different ideas and you're not sure how to turn them into an online business or into, getting the jobs you want, you have trouble with your branding, your networking. I think in this case, we had a number of different issues that we covered. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to send me a message or comment below.
Absolutely.
And yeah, we'll be in touch with Hilary soon to see what happens next.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye, Hilary.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.